All right, this is my first tournament poker vlog on this new channel. Basically, I go through a few hands, and at the very end, I go through my bust out hand. My bust out hand was pocket tens. The guy raised under the gun, and he had about the same chip stack as I did. I had 10, 11 bigs. I ended up jamming with pocket tens. He called. He got lucky. I go through that a little bit at the end of the video to talk about ranges a little bit. And so that's it. So please subscribe. Enjoy. And give me your comments on the hands if you have any comments of your own. All right, the first hand here, it's 2,000, 4,000. We have a raise under the gun to 12. And guy comes around back to me here, and I have pocket nines. And I'm deciding what to do. Normally I would 3-bet with pocket nines here, and that's exactly what I end up doing. I end up 3-betting it to 3,500. Looks like 3,700. And it comes back around to the under the gun, and he ends up 4-betting to 10,000, which I didn't expect. Pretty and I should have probably just folded, honestly, to a under the gun 4-bet. That's awfully strong. So I'm not sure why or what possessed me here to call the 4-bet, but eventually I ended up calling the 4-bet. As you can see, I call the 4-bet there for 10,000. Flop comes out.
Check to the Mr.
King 6-4. I believe it was rainbow. Yes, it was rainbow. And I check it naturally to the razor. He was a 4-better. He checks it back. Now on the turn, I feel like I should have stabbed at this. I did not stab at it. And he checked it back, and especially when he checked back the turn again, I'm like, oh God, I should have bet that. And the river, now once it comes to the river, I can't really bluff at this. If he's got a pair like jacks, queens, something he would 4-bet with. I think aces he would probably have bet at this point, but I feel like he's probably got an underpair like jacks or queens, something like that. And I don't think that he is folding if I bet the river big. So I just felt like I misplayed this. I think we both put each other on like ace, king. So when the king came, it was kind of a scare card for both of us. But when he checks it back, it just smelled like he probably has a pair like an underpair. This is kind of what it felt like queens. So if he has something like that, then I have to turn around and stab at it, and then go off a read, and then basically see if I can take it down. And if I get a read that he's kind of weak, I'd bet it again. Now here I jacked in the small blind, basically under the gun and raised. We had another call and another call, and it comes finally around back to me in the small blind. Multiple colors here, jack 10 off versus under the gun range. I think this is a good spot to call. If it was suited, I'd think about squeezing, but I ended up just calling. See a flop, decent hand. So here we are. I believe we're 3 ways to the flop here. The flop comes queen 10-9. The under the gun raiser ends up betting, and I plan on sticking around obviously when he bets. What happens is he bets 4,500, and it goes around to the cutoff, and the cutoff actually ends up jamming all in for 17,000. And I thought, boy, either one of them could easily have king jack here. Either one of them could have well, not really a set. It's possible, you know, maybe a set of nines, maybe a set of tens for the guy who jammed all in, but you know, either of them could have king jack, and I'm just drawn for half the pot. I felt like that would be a very bad call to call for likely half the pot going against 2 people, especially with the one calling it. And basically what happened is the guy who initially bet had called as well, the under the gun raiser. So I ended up like I said, folding, and the 2 went all in. We'll see the run out here in a minute. And basically the guy who jammed all in had jack 10, and the under the gun guy had pocket kings. And as it turned out, another 10 come, the case 10, and we had jack 10 ended up winning. So Um, I don't like his jam, honestly. I guess he was pretty short, so he
I
figured
mean,
he'd
but someone
just
could have
jam and
king
go
jack
for
easy.
it. But I don't
I
know.
folded
With
the
me
same hand.
behind him, I could easily have king jack. I could have a,
I
you
mean,
know, a queen. He could have king jack.
someone could have king
Any
jack
one of us could
easily.
have king jack. That's the thing,
I can
multiple
draw the
players. So I
top.
know he blocks the jack, but I'm not really a big fan of his jam with jack 10.
That was a
But
ace king for you.
it ends up getting through. He ends up winning, cracking the king. So that's it. Maybe I'll take a look at that in a minute and see what the correct play is there. But so the next hand here, I look down at in early position is pocket aces. First time I've seen him in this tournament. I turn around and raise it to 1500. The blinds are 3 and 600 with a 600 ante. And I get multiple callers. Um, Not really a fan of the limp re-raise, so kind of prefer to raise. And again, I get multiple callers. The flop is 6-5 deuce with two hearts. Not the best flop for me, but I'm going to bet this just because with a few people in there, there's a lot of straight draws, there's a lot of flush draws, and I don't see people stabbing a lot. I mean, yes, some people do, but I decided to bet here. I thought it was the best decision, even though it's a bad board for me. The turn was the 7 of diamonds, and this is a good board to bet. I still have flush draws out there,
Check.
and there is, I don't know why I checked. I mean, there's tons of pair and straight draws to call me. So I guess I was just trying to pot control, but 3-4 was already there and no one raised. So anyway, no one had,
Yeah, that's
my
a bad
opponent, the
board.
big blind,
You know
actually
it's a
had
bad
called,
board.
by the way. I checked the turn again to pot control. I wasn't thrilled about the 7 on the turn. The open ender came in, but again, 3-4 is already there, so it doesn't matter. And nobody raised the flop. So again, you would think there's a percentage that some of the times someone would raise the turn if they hit the straight with the flush out there, right? So again, I had just one caller, but you would think he would raise. You would think, and since I bet into multiple people, there'd be a percentage that he would raise with 3-4. So the 3 came in, and basically I ended up checking. I wasn't
Oh, you
thrilled
got the
again,
river? Jesus.
seeing if he bluffed Miss Hearts. He bet, and I called, and he actually had
Aces.
6-4 off.
Aces
So
beat
I'm
by
not really
10-4.
sure about
10-4 is a
that call
break.
pre-flop. He might have been suited, but anyway, he had top pair, and
He
he
called the
turned the
flop. Why'd you
straight
call the
draw with
flop?
the top pair on the
I missed the
turn,
top part.
and then he hit the straight on the river. So again, I
I
wasn't
didn't see
thrilled
that.
about that river. In hindsight, boy,
What was the flop?
he could easily bet
76?
Miss Hearts there. So I don't mind
Have a good
the
day.
call necessarily on the river, but I really am not too thrilled about not betting the turn and charging him. And as a
Okay.
side effect, you can kind of find out where you're at a little bit more. But since he didn't raise the flop, I really should have gone ahead and bet the turn. So the next hand here is a limp pot. I mean, the big blind was 7-8 off.
Alright.
There's 3 limpers, the small blind limps, and I just had to check my option with 7-8 off. The flop comes ace 6-9 rainbow. I decided to go ahead and lead. I don't mind a lead here. I'm open-ended. It's a rainbow board, so I decided to lead into 3 others. Um, and it comes around to the small blind, and he decides to check call. Turn brings me my straight. Bink. It ends up being the offsuit 10. And I purposely bet really small here because I felt like he was a real active guy. And I thought if I rep really small, if I rep weak, if I bet really small, he might attack that. So I purposely bet really small heads up. And I got what I wanted. He ended up raising big. And I thought about it. And I thought, boy,
16.
I'm just opening up how, I just decided I wanted to turn around and just call. I decided what to do. Um, didn't want to expose the strength of my hand at this point, so I just called. Now, the river paired the board. It gave the ace on the river, and I wasn't thrilled about that. But honestly, if you think about everything, if you think about how the hand played out, if he check called the flop, it kind of feels like, I mean, I don't know. I just didn't feel, I felt like he could have a boat. I mean, he check raised the turn, so it's possible he has something like, well, ace nine, but I felt like he probably would have bet the flop. Excuse me, ace 10. So I think it's way too nitty here to just check back. So I ended up betting. And if I get raised, then I got a dilemma and I got to decide what to do. But I think that's a good value bet. I can definitely get looked up by maybe a 10, maybe an ace. I'm hoping he has an ace. I don't know. I just felt like it was way too nitty to go ahead and just check this back. It's close. It's close. It's definitely close. So anyway, I ended up value betting, and he thinks and thinks and thinks, and he ends up eventually folding. So obviously he did not have a boat. I think he would have snap called with trip aces. So I mean, it's possible he could have had a real weak ace that he checked, and then check raising the turn to find out where he's at. I'm not really sure. But anyway, I took it down. And of course, you know, it is possible he had the straight, and then he turns around and sees me bet the turn and then call his raise. I mean, I could have ace 10 if I decide not to raise on the pre-flop, which I probably would. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's folding the straight either, but I'm not really sure what he had. But I bet, and I think it was a good value bet, and I took it down. Curious what you all think on that.
All right, so I'm looking at Poker Cruncher here on my phone, just showing the hand I got knocked out on. The under the gun raised, and I had 10 big blinds exactly, and I'm next to act. And honestly, this is the range that I'm going to be shoving with 10 big blinds, because later position, of course, is going to be wider. When you're in late position or on the button with 10 bigs, you can shove, you know, any suited ace, pretty much any pair, wider than this. But if someone raises under the gun, and he has about he had a little more chip stack than I did. The blinds were 3,000 and 6,000. He made it 12 or 15,000, I believe, and I think it was between 12 and 18. I'm not sure off the top of my head. I thought it was about 12,000. And I have 60,000, and I jam next to act. So I got to worry about all the people behind me, and it's against the under the gun range, and it's for my tournament life. This is really the range I'm shoving with. Nines plus, ace king, ace queen, and I have half the combos of ace jack, and I put in king queen suited. That's about it. You really shouldn't be shoving against under the gun range of 10 bigs. With anything wider than, you should be doing it with king jack. I mean, we'll look at GTO in a second here, but this is what I am shoving with against the under the gun, because this is a 3-bet against the under the gun raise. It's not like it's a jam on the button. So, and it turns out the guy called me and with ace 4, and technically this shouldn't even be a race to begin with under the gun. But he called me, and if you look here, I mean, I'm a 2-1 favorite against his range. You're a 2-1 dog, and it was for like over half of his chips. And you're a 2-1 dog now. Let's think about this. I mean, ICM wise and everything, tournament wise, you should be folding ace 4, period. He had, if I think about the math on this, there was 60 in there plus 12, 72 plus the blinds, 72 plus another 12 of blinds, 84. So it was 84,000 in there, and he had to call 48,000. 82.48. So he wasn't getting 2-1. And this is tournaments. This isn't cash. So he wasn't getting 2-1 against my range. And so it was a bad call by him. I just wanted to double check and run it here. Now let's go look at, there's another really useful program here that's called, I have it on my website. go to pokerpro.us.com. I'm forgetting the name of it. I'll pull it up here for you. GTO base. And it's a free program, and it's really nice. So, anyway, let's turn around and go to Under the Gun with effective stack of 10 big blinds. He had, well, let's first turn around and go to, he had about 17 big blinds. Excuse me a second here. He had about 17 big blinds. Apparently you can raise with ace 4 suited. It's right on the bottom edge. Effective stack was 10 big blinds. It's a minute. Which doesn't meet it. But anyway, let's just turn around. His effective stack. He turned around and raised. And for me to jam with 10, which is the green GTO, it's 8 aces plus, ace 10 suited plus. Really close to what I jam with. The only difference is you have ace 5 suited, which I'm not a big fan of the whole ace 5 suited as a bluff thing. I would probably just stick with it. So mine range was a little tighter. I had ace queen suited, and he had ace, and I had half ace jack. And GTO is ace 10 suited, king jack suited. There's only like 2 hands. I mean, this is really close to what I just showed you. And I pulled that out of my butt just guessing before I even looked at this. So you can see what I'm 3-bet jamming with is really close to what GTO is. So if I turn around and jam, right? See the rest of everyone folds. Hopefully we can get an answer. Sometimes they don't have solutions to everything. Just curious here what the everyone else folds, yada yada yada. Just what happened. Under the gun. He can call with aces, kings, queens, ace, king suited, and looks like half of ace 8 suited, and that's it. You don't see any weak ace. There's no ace 4 suited, ace 5 suited, even ace queen suited, ace jack suited, ace queen. Those are all folds according to GTO. You can see here. So yeah. And then you can see like a lot of the range is just, he's not even supposed to be in there with that range. So there you go. Kind of proof of in the pudding as far as what GTO is kind of agreeing with what I had thought. And I thought it was a terrible call. And this just kind of confirms it was a bad call by my villain to raise call 10 big blinds there. So that's it. I wanted to show you that little bit there.